I want to jump on here real quick and I want to talk to you about 3 important things to know about your fears so that they no longer hold you back. The first thing I want you to know about your fear is that a fear is all made up. So there's 2 types of fear that we experience. The first type is from our mind, and this is the type of fear that we experience when we perceive a threat. So something in our environment, something's happening outside of us, and our mind wants to protect us, make sure that we're safe. So we're going to have a fear or a thought that is a fear-based thought that is around how is what I am experiencing right now going to kill me? How could it kill me? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? So this is a very instinctual type of fear. The second type of fear, now this first type of fear is a very normal type of fear. This one isn't the fear I'm talking about here. That kind of fear is essential for our everyday life. The other type of fear that I'm talking about is our ego-based fear. Now, these fears come up as like the stories we tell ourselves, these beliefs we have about who we are. The big ones, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. If I do that, what will people think? Massive one. And if I put myself out there, then I'm going to embarrass myself. If I speak up and I say the things I really want to say, people aren't going to like me. My boyfriend's going to leave me. My friends are going to think I'm weird. Those kind of fears. First thing you need to know about your fear is that fears are made up. Not the ones about, will this kill me? I want you to think about those. That comes from your mind, that comes from your survival mechanism. The other kinds of fears that are made up are the ones from our ego that are about who we are, what we're capable of, and really describe our abilities. So remembering that, anything that's not going to kill you is a made up story fear. It's not true. The second thing I want you to know about your fears and fear-based thoughts is that we assign all the meaning that our fears have. So what do I mean by that? So anytime we have a thought, we get to assign the meaning that that thought has. Because at the end of the day, a thought is just a little piece of mental activity. So I like to think of thoughts as if you're typing something on a computer and you type a bunch of keys and a word pops up. So in this idea of a machine and this computer, I've typed a word. That could be a thought, the machine then being my mind. Now, what I type on the screen can be anything. How I read that word or how I perceive what I've written, I then choose what meaning that thought has. So I want you to start to think about your thoughts in this new way, that none of it actually has any meaning. They're just literally like little mental events happening one after the other after the other. We and our egos, very much so, decide what meaning those thoughts have based on our past experiences, based on things that have happened to us. This is all information stored within us that our ego then creates our identity and says, this is who I am. And then we apply this meaning to everything that happens to us in our life. Now, this is a really important concept to start to understand from beyond your fears and beyond your thinking for your life. The second thing too is, I want to say in the same vein, is that words also we assign the meaning to the words. Now, okay, hold on for a second. Love means love. Hate means hate. We understand the concept that comes with I love you or I don't like you. What I mean by that in terms of words is when people say things to us, or perhaps they speak unkindly about you, or they laugh at something you said that it was heartfelt, but they laughed at you anyway. We assign the meaning to that, and what I mean by that is we choose how those people's words, which are again just simply like bites of sound strung together, and then we almost like absorb these words, let them turn around here in the heart and go, oh, that means that makes me feel this. Now, what I'm trying to get to here is that there is a lot of unnecessary meaning, suffering, emotion and feeling that we put on ourselves by assigning meaning to the thoughts we think and the things we hear or the words that are said around us. And what I want you to start to understand and what I want you to start to do is begin to become a witness in your life. So I want you to become this like detective. It's an inner sleuth, watching the little ways that you might be assigning meaning to some. It's a story that I hope my friend doesn't mind me sharing. I won't say her name, but she was waiting to be invited by a good friend to be a bridesmaid. And she was waiting and she was waiting and she was waiting. She ended up going to a party with her friends, and she didn't get the invitation on that particular night. But because she'd been waiting and she'd been thinking, well, why hasn't my friend asked me yet? You know, is there something wrong? She's starting to build this story and assign meaning to something that was her thought. And then when she's gone to this event, she still wasn't asked. She's then decided that means that they don't like me anymore, and she left. Turns out a couple of days later, she got the email saying, you know, I want you to be my bridesmaid. So here's a great example of how we assign meaning to the things we're thinking when it may not even be reality. This is a fear-based thinking, right? So your task for the week is to start to watch how your mind is making up meaning for the things you're thinking, and then like applying it to situations in your life and like driving fear in you that you don't need. The third thing I want you to know about your fears, and why I tell you all of this is because what we want to learn to do when it comes to fear is we want to learn how to create space. We want to learn how to create this inner witness who can sit here in a place of like objectivity, you know, having no preference, and say, okay, that sounds like a crazy thought. Is that real? No, it's not. Is that my mind just, you know, going crazy and you know, my ego then assigning meaning to that these people don't like me? We want to keep practicing coming back to a place of curiosity, to everything we think, everything we hear, everything we see, everything we witness and experience in our lives, and give ourselves space from everything. Now, what happens in this space is it's almost like we kind of like press pause in our lives, almost like we press pause on, you know, the emotion and the feelings, and we can like pull it apart and be like, okay, well, there's that thought, there's that feeling, here's this belief. Now, what's real here? And this is really the basis of all of this. What is real here? What is this just my thinking mind? What is my ego telling me about, you know, the people, the interactions, who I am, how good I am, how bad I am, how worthy I am, all of that. And then really starting to paste these pictures of these different elements of ourselves out here to go like, well, if they're over there and I'm standing here looking at them, who am I when they're not here and I'm not believing everything they say? And what you're going to find is that you are someone who doesn't get carried away with their negative thinking or doesn't assign meaning to everything she thinks. You don't get into stories in your mind when you're waiting for something to happen and you keep thinking, well, the fear-based thinking happens, and then you act out in certain ways that affect your life because you're caught in a story in your mind. You're someone who steps back and goes, well, actually, none of that's real. So when you take away that stuff that's not real, what is? You start to see your life how it really is. And even better, what you make space for is the voice of you, your true self. This part of you is actually really, she's cool, calm, and collected. She doesn't stress out. She doesn't freak out. She's patient. She's forgiving. She's willing to learn. She's willing to make mistakes. She doesn't beat herself up for it. She's willing to take action. She's willing to try. And this is a part of us that we're so often searching for when we feel like we're wondering, why is my life like this? You know, there's something more for me, but I can't do it, or I'm too lazy. I'm always afraid of what people are going to think if I step out of this comfort zone. So the third thing I want you to know about your fears is your fears never go away, and that is never going to be our goal. We never are going to be working towards this state of like being fearless. I think we can be courageous, but we're never going to be fearless in the sense that there's no fear. I want to tell you an example of that, and that is when I was launching my course that closes for enrollment this Friday, and we have 4 spots left. If you want to join us, I'd love you to have it. I'd love you to have us. If you want to join us, I'd love to have you. So I want to tell you this story, exactly how I started to work with my own fears. And for the last few years, I have actually been living in a state of my fear and my mind and my experience of my life were like one. And I keep using my hands because it was like I had a filter over my face like this, and my fear was like stuck on my face like this. And I viewed my entire life through it. I then acted out in certain ways because of this fear that was just here and my thinking that went with that. And it was insanity, really, when I really think back a bit. And what I've learned to do and what I'm teaching in my course is how we can take this away, how we can create this big bubble of space. And it's almost like you incubate your true self, the real you, with this sort of protective layer. Now, when I went into this month was all for me about promoting my course and like talking about it. And that's actually really scary. And I had the first week of August, like literal physical fear. Now, my fear has changed to being that screaming voice in my head to being more of like on this periphery. And how I can describe it for you is that I had a little protective bubble of like space. I could hear my fear, but it had that kind of muffled sound. You know when you got the door closed and there's a party outside or there's noise outside, you can't quite make it out? That's what my fear was like. I knew it was there, I could hear it and it was having a crack, but I had this protective buffer that I'd created from becoming this witness to. That's how my fear speaks to me. That's how my ego speaks to me, and knowing that I'm neither of those things. So what did happen though, it became more of a physical thing. It was really hard for me to get going. But what was a beautiful thing from creating this buffer was that I had created this space for me to hear the driving force within me, that is the part of me that wanted to create the course, that wants to share this, that wants to do this work. And I could hear it each and every day, like cheering me on, exactly what this part of us does. It is our inner cheerleader. It is the part of us that knows what it is we want to do. It's clear on the path we're supposed to follow. And when we connect it and create that space for it, we can have our fear around us because it never goes away, but we can have the space to hear ourselves and take action, no matter how lazy your fear wants to tell you what you are or how much it wants you to procrastinate. You have that buffer. So that's what I want you to know about your fears, is that first and foremost, your fears are all made up, not the ones about how you might die from the saber-toothed tiger. That's real, trust that. But it's the other ones about, your worth, your value, being rejected, failing, success, what that might mean. It's all made up. And then every thought that we think, and every fear-based thought that we think, we give it all the meaning that it can have. That's a choice we make, and it comes very much from our egos. And then it's in giving it that meaning that we let it hold us back. It's just a thought. It's just a little bit of mental activity, like a little light bulb going on and off. So starting to really view your thoughts as these things that are just mental calculations or notes, like, what if I didn't believe everything I think? What would life be like then? And then that third thing is that your fears never go away, but you can create this safety buffer to hear yourself, so that you can take action no matter what fears are around you, and so that you can hear what it is that you want to do, and you can hear that driving force moving you forward. And that all happens by beginning to become the witness to how your mind tells you stories, how your ego assigns the meaning, and just the way that we can then get caught in that cycle and let it become our experience of our life, and through that experience, how we take action or don't take action. So they're the three things I want you to know about, important things you need to know about your fears so that you don't let them hold you back. Now, fear is a big topic that we'll be covering in my course, and it's called The Shift. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's a 6-week online group coaching program. I've got 6 women signed up. I've got 3 more hoping to sign up this week. We're still in discussions. They've been traveling, so that would leave 1 spot, but officially 4 for now. We'd love to have you if you're ready to have negative thoughts and fears ruling your life so that you can express yourself and be all of who you want to be and just follow what you know is right for you. Then join us. We start this Sunday for 6 weeks, and enrollment closes this Friday. If you have any questions, DM me, drop a comment below. I'd love to have you. Wishing you an amazing week. See you later.